For those of you that have watched my channel for pretty much any period of time, you'll probably recognize this little war crime of a CPU cooler, which is basically just like the Intel stock cooler with sickle cell anemia. And for some reason, OEM pre-built manufacturers use this cooler on pretty much any CPU that doesn't have a K in the name. But what happens when you use it with a CPU that does have a K in the name? Now the CPU in question is this, an i9-10900K with 10 cores and 20 threads of power, and it's a CPU that's renowned for being a bit of a hot boy. So let's cobble all of this together and start with our bamboo fingernail torture. Nice. That was actually really easy to mount. I just used the Intel mounting bracket that comes with NZXT AIOs, and it just screwed straight to it. Now in this configuration, it does actually have a huge advantage over that cooler in like an Alienware system, in that it doesn't have a bare bit of metal just choking out the fan. And the fact that it actually has fresh air available to it puts it at a huge advantage to it in any OEM pre-built, although it's gonna need all of the advantage it can get. So let's fire it up and see what happens. Now before we manually overclock on all cores to just absolutely go to town on the CPU, I think we should do auto so that it kind of takes care of itself and we'll see where the CPU is comfortable running. Ooh, okay. It's getting a bit noisy. Ooh, straight into 90 degrees Celsius there. That's always fun. Let's deploy in and, ooh, 100, just straight off the bat, 100 degrees Celsius. It is comfortably over 100 degrees Celsius, and it just keeps going. Why is it not throttling itself? It's on auto, right? It's supposed to slow itself down. CPU, you're on fire! Do something to preserve your own life. What is going on? Considering that it doesn't seem to be phased by 104-ish degrees Celsius, maybe we should overclock it and see if it trips then? That is a problem right there. I have never seen that before. How is it not crashed yet? The CPU is just like, yeah, nah, 115 degrees, that's okay. That's not a 104, it's back in the hundreds. 115. Oh my God. It's just pegged at 115 degrees Celsius. Should I switch it off? Like, is this, like, is it about to catch on fire? Oh, there's a tank over there. I cannot believe that it's not at least throttling or something. Like, the fact that it's just sitting at 115. Like, and the thing that concerns me, right, is 115 like where the sensor tops out? Like the thermometer just can't read higher than that? I don't know. I feel like I should stop. Like, I feel like this is just gonna end with tears. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this. I'm actually gonna stop it. It topped out at 118 degrees Celsius. How didn't it crash? It didn't even throttle. It just took it like a champ. I have never seen something like that before, and at this point I was quite concerned. So concerned, in fact, that I reached out to my tech sensei, Neo, which is a bit of a weird sentence, but anyway, Neo and I discussed for a bit, and we thought maybe there's like a defective temperature sensor or something. So I swapped out the cooler for something that doesn't suck a fat one. Lo and behold, the temperatures dropped, and the system was running at a temperature that made sense considering the configuration. Then I resocketed the CPU and did a BIOS update, but we were still getting these very high temperatures. Now up until this point, Neo kept asking if I reset the BIOS or had a closer look at the BIOS. So I thought, before dropping in a different CPU or changing out the motherboard, let me have a closer look at the BIOS on this NZXT N7Z590 motherboard. lo and behold, out of the box, the default TJ Maxx temperature is set at 115 degrees Celsius, which is very high. That's actually 15 degrees Celsius higher than Intel's maximum spec. So if you have one of these motherboards, please go and set that TJ Maxx temperature to something more reasonable, like, I don't know, 95 degrees Celsius, so that if, for example, your AIO pump dies, your CPU doesn't keep running like it's trying to catalyze a silicon fusion reaction. So with the mystery solved of why the CPU was running with no regards to preserve its own life, I think the only logical next step is to strap a Delta fan to that little cooler to see if we can make it perform reasonably on this i9-10900K. So now that we've established that this NZXT motherboard is the best motherboard for cooking on the market, let's try and help out that poor little cooler with this Delta fan. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about mounting the Delta, considering that if you look at those mounting screws over here, they do actually stand quite a bit above the aluminium heatsink. So part of me wants to just kind of take it and just tape it onto the fan that's already on there so that they're kind of like piggybacking on each other, which means we're gonna have to use my old friend, duct tape. If you have a closer look here, you can see why this duct tape implementation is genius. Because considering the fact that we're taping it to the other fan as opposed to the actual heatsink, it means that we can get a secure seal without jeopardizing any of the airflow through these fins. So yeah, I think this is gonna work super well. Yeah, I'd say that'll hold. Oh yeah, there we go. I mean, look at those temps. So once you get over the noise, it's actually a much more comforting gaming experience now that we're not sitting at 100 degrees Celsius. But I think that means we have some overclocking headroom. So let's do some of that and see how it handles 5.1 gigahertz. Let's do an all-core, take it up to 5.1. Oh, we just hit 100C there briefly. Oh, it's actually slowing it down now. Wait a second, we need to fix that. This motherboard even has the option to disable thermal throttling for some reason. Luckily, it wasn't enabled out of the box. Okay, well, it's refusing to sit at 5.1 gigahertz for some reason now. I don't know why it did it at 118 degrees Celsius, but not at 90 degrees Celsius. But those temperatures, irrespective, are way better. So Dell or Acer, if you're watching this video, all you need to do to get better performance out of your little cooler is just strap a Delta to it.